Can you talk about how you ended up with the source material?
Yeah, Moonlight began as a play by Terrell McCraney, who I didn't know at the time, called In Moonlight, Black Boys Look Blue. And both Terrell and I are a part of this arts collective in Miami called the Borscht Collective, or Borscht Film Festival. And Terrell gave the play to Andrew Havia, Lucas Leva, and when it came to me, I was told, this isn't about you, but it's about you. And when I read it, I understood exactly what they meant. There are just certain biographical elements of my life and Terrell's life that just perfectly overlap. I mean, physically, we lived like pretty much the same block, went to some of the same schools, and both our mothers went through the drug addiction so viscerally depicted by Naomi Harris in the film.
And then, what about the casting of Chiron? What was it about those actors that they had the characteristics that you felt made them perfect to be Chiron?
Yeah, I knew that I didn't want the same actor to play all three characters. One, we just couldn't afford it. It had just been too much. But I also thought part of the point of the film was to show how radically altered a person can become when they succumb to the pressures of environment, the pressures of the expectations the world has placed upon them. And so I was looking for three different people who had the same feeling. I wasn't really looking for three actors who looked alike, or sounded alike. It was more about a feeling, and to me that feeling was rooted in their eyes. Well, I'm a big fan of Walter Murch's book, In the Blink of an Eye, and he talks all about the eyes being the window into the soul. And I thought if I could find three actors who had the same or very similar souls, that you could buy that the world had changed them on the exterior, but within themselves in the interior, and the window into that was, for me, through their eyes, you would see that it was the same person. And that was how we approached it. And, we cast Ashton Sanders as Chiron first. He was the first person we saw for that part, and we saw him quite a few times after, because I was trying to do these chemistry reads with him and the teen Kevin. But then I quickly realized that wasn't the point. The chemistry between those two characters wasn't the point as far as the casting process went. We had to have three Kevins who felt the same and three Chirons who felt the same. And the only time when that process was radically altered was when Trevante Rhodes came in, who actually came in to audition for Kevin, which is played brilliantly by Andre Holland. I can't imagine Trevante playing Kevin, and I can't imagine Andre playing Black. But when Trevante came in, he was just such a jarring physical image, someone who looked so hyper-masculine, and yet the vulnerability of the character was still within his eyes. And Trevante literally changed what I thought was physically possible with that character, because when you first see him, it's just such a distinct leap from the character who comes before, the physical representation of that character. But again, I felt like in his eyes, you could still see those boys he had been in the previous chapters. And so, once Trevante came in, I really honed in on what it was we were looking for, and then we just cast everyone else from there.
Cool. I love what you said last night about how you didn't want any of them to see dailies or meet each other.
Yeah.
That was so cool. And when I interviewed them in Toronto, all of them sort of seemed to just meet for the first time at these screenings. And
Yeah, for me, again, they were, it's the same character, but he's become a different person, and so we will cast different people to play this character. And I didn't want them to mimic one another. I didn't want them to know, I'm doing it this way, so you do it that way. I didn't want them to try to align things, and I didn't want them to also try to take these steps to make sure their performance was distinct. To me, the world is such an aggressive place. This is like, soft aggression. There's this term called soft power. The U.S. is a country that has a lot of soft power because our images are spread so far around the world. I think within American society, soft power affects us greatly. I think it teaches boys, this is how you walk. This is how you speak to women. This is how you treat other men. And it's all about this idea of having to fortify your masculinity so someone doesn't take it from you, which is a very antiquated notion. And I wanted to show the progression of this character in a way that could speak to that physically, like visually, when these characters appear on screen. And I wanted to do the work. I didn't want them to do the work. I just wanted them to be themselves.
Can you talk to me about Teresa and Juan's character and how they sort of influenced Chiron?
Yeah, the Juan character is kind of like the whole basis for the film. When Terrell first wrote the play, it was an attempt to capture this friendship he had, this mentorship with a local drug dealer who protected him growing up in a neighborhood. I was going to say very similar to the one depicted in the film, but literally the neighborhood depicted in the film. And so the Juan character is very important, I think, to Moonlight, both because of the psychic relationship Terrell has to that character, but also too, I think that, in this movie, this character, Chiron, is moving through time and space pretty much alone. And yet this character, Juan, appears very quickly, very early, and is this sort of almost like the sounding board, this place of nurturing. And I think the movie is sort of in some ways about nature versus nurture. I'm a big nurture person. This positive nurturing and this negative nurturing, and how that affects, who we become. And I think that Mahershala does such a great job performing as Juan that you think, oh, okay, this is what this kid needs. This is going to save him. When he gets snatched out of the film. And to me, I wanted to represent how there were kids like Chiron all over the country, all over America, who have these experiences and have these people come into their lives, and they're just snatched out, And I wanted the audience to feel that loss and that lack the way Chiron does. And it was important to me. A friend was saying, a black drug dealer is usually only a black drug dealer. He's not a father, he's not a brother, he's not an uncle, he's not a provider. That's simply not true. And it was important to us, when I say us, I say myself and Terrell, to show a depiction of a black drug dealer who's definitely a lot more than just a black drug dealer. The same thing with Teresa. I often say it takes a village, and in my life, there were people who weren't blood relatives of mine, who took me under their wing, who made sure I had a place to sleep or I had a place to eat, when my mom couldn't provide those things. And I think having someone, like Janelle Monáe, who has never acted before, although I'm sure she's going to act quite a bit going forward now, to have her, literally, embody that character and bring her own personal life, to Teresa, again, it just meant a lot, because to me, the movie in a certain way is, I think, a very well-rounded depiction of the community I grew up in, and I think the role Teresa plays in this kid's life reflects the role that a lot of strangers played in my life.
Sharon はいつも一人ぼっちだった。
You're a real damn prize, Chiron.
At some point, you gotta decide for yourself who you gonna be. Can't let nobody make that decision for you.
心の支えは麻薬ディーラーのフアンと
I knew you wasn't Saul.
たった一人の友人ケビンだけだった。
Chiron, what you cry about?
Shit, I cry so much sometimes, I feel like I'ma just turn to drugs.
Yo, Pizzo, you see this nigga James B? I see them shit. Kev, hit that nigga.
Chiron.
Remember the last time I saw you?
I'm me.
その一途な思いが心揺さぶる。これは生涯に一度の愛の物語。ムーンライト。